The massive crystal dome of the Zephyrian High Council chamber glowed with a faint, dying light. Outside, their ancient sun flickered like a candle in its final moments. Ambassador Velton pressed his long, slender fingers against the smooth surface of the holographic display, watching the red numbers count down their civilization's remaining time, 2 orbital cycles. That was all they had left. "The stellar collapse models are confirmed," announced Chief Scientist Morden, his voice heavy with the weight of their species' fate. "Our sun will implode in exactly 1.7 cycles. The shockwave will destroy everything within 3 solar radii." The 12 council members sat in their floating chairs, their pale blue skin reflecting the dying starlight that streamed through the transparent walls. For 1,000 generations, the Zephyrians had ruled over 17 star systems. They had mastered the art of bending space and time, could travel between dimensions, and had built cities that floated in the void between worlds. But none of their great achievements could save them from this simple truth. Their sun was dying. "What of the evacuation ships?" asked Counselor Thales, her voice barely above a whisper. Velton's shoulders sagged. "We have built 47 vessels, each capable of carrying 10,000 souls. But our population numbers over 12 million, can save less than half our people." A heavy silence fell over the chamber. It had known this day would come. Our scientists had predicted it centuries ago, but somehow they had always believed they would find a solution. The Zephyrians had solved every problem they had ever faced. They had conquered death itself, extending their lives to span thousands of years. They had built machines that could create matter from pure energy. They had even learned to speak with the quantum particles that made up reality itself, but they could not make a dying star live again. "There is another option," Velton said slowly, his voice cutting through the despair. "The Deep Space Scouts have found something." He waved his hand, and the hologram changed. The image of their dying sun faded, replaced by a small blue and green world spinning peacefully in the darkness. It was beautiful in its simplicity, with white clouds swirling over vast oceans and brown continents. "This planet lies in the Terran system, 47 light-years from here. Our scouts have been studying it for the past cycle. It has everything. We need to build a new civilization." Counselor Kethra leaned forward. "What of the native life forms?" "That is where it becomes interesting," Velton replied. "The planet is inhabited by a young species that calls itself human. They have barely discovered atomic energy and have never traveled beyond their own moon. But they show remarkable promise." He changed the display again. Now it showed images of human cities, their primitive but elegant architecture, their art and music, their literature and science. The council watched in fascination as they saw humans working together to build great structures, to explore their world, to care for their young and old. "They are not unlike us in many ways," Velton continued. "They form strong family bonds. They create beauty for its own sake. They seek knowledge and truth. And most importantly, they have something we need." "What is that?" asked Morden. "The planet is rich in quantum crystals, the same crystals that power our ships and our technology. There are more crystals in that one world than in all of our remaining territories combined. With those resources, we could not only evacuate our entire population, but we could build a new empire." The council members exchanged glances. They all understood what Velton was suggesting. They could take the planet by force. Their technology was so far advanced, beyond the humans, that it would not even be a war. It would be like adults taking toys from children. "What is the human population?" asked Thales. "Approximately 8 billion. Another silence fell over the chamber. 8 billion lives. The Zephyrians had never been conquerors. They had always preferred to negotiate, to trade, to find peaceful solutions, but they had never faced extinction before. "There may be another way," Velton said quietly. "The humans are young, but they are not stupid. They have governments, diplomats, scientists. They understand the concept of mutual benefit. Perhaps we could negotiate with them." "Negotiate?" Kethra sounded skeptical. "What could we possibly offer them that would make them willing to share their world?" Velton smiled for the first time in many cycles. "Everything we know, every technology we have developed, every secret of the universe we have discovered, could give them the stars themselves." He gestured to the hologram, which now showed human spacecraft traveling between worlds. Human cities floating in space, human explorers walking on distant planets. We offer them a partnership. We share our knowledge, they share their world. Together we could build something greater than either of our species could achieve alone. The council sat in thoughtful silence, watching the images of what could be. Finally Morden spoke. And if they refuse? Belton's expression grew serious. Then we will have to make a choice between their survival and ours. But I believe they will listen. Hope is a powerful force, and we are offering them hope for a future beyond their wildest dreams. The vote was unanimous. They would make contact. With the humans of Earth, Commander Hyansu stared at the screens in the Pentagon's war room as dark shadows began to form in the sky above Washington, D.C. The massive ships appeared slowly, like clouds gathering before a storm. They were unlike anything humans had ever seen. Smooth crystalline structures that seemed to bend light around them, making them shimmer like mirages in the desert. Sir, we're getting similar reports from London, Tokyo, Moscow, and Beijing, reported Lieutenant Gemin, her voice tight with tension. 12 ships total, each one roughly the size of a football stadium. Hyansu nodded grimly. Every military leader on Earth had been preparing for this moment since the first radio signals from space had been detected 3 days ago. But nothing could have prepared them for the reality of seeing alien ships hovering silently over their cities. The communications officer suddenly straightened in his chair. Commander, we're receiving a transmission. It's coming from all the ships at once, broadcasting on every frequency. Put it on speaker. The voice that filled the room was strange but understandable, speaking English with careful precision. People of Earth, we are the Zephyrians. We come to you not as conquerors, but as refugees. Our sun dies, and with it, our civilization. We seek not to take your world, but to share it. We wish to speak with your leaders, the transmission repeated in dozens of languages. Chinese, Russian, Arabic, Spanish, each pronunciation perfect. Despite the alien speaker having never heard these languages before, President Sujin arrived at the Pentagon within the hour, her face pale but determined. She gathered her closest advisors in the secure briefing room, including Dr. Minji, Earth's leading expert on communication with unknown species. What do we know about them? The president asked. Dr. Minji pulled up holographic displays showing the alien ships. Based on their technology, they're far more advanced than us. These ships use some kind of gravity manipulation to stay in the air. Our scientists estimate they're at least 1,000 years ahead of us technologically. And they're asking to negotiate rather than simply taking what they want, added General Jahan. That suggests they either respect other species or they need something from us that can't be taken by force. The first face-to-face meeting took place in a specially prepared room at the United Nations building in New York. Dr. Minji stood nervously beside the president as they waited for the alien ambassador to arrive. They had no idea what to expect. Zephyrian, who entered the room, looked surprisingly human-like, though clearly not human. He was tall and slender, with pale blue skin and large dark eyes that seemed to hold ancient wisdom. He wore simple robes that shimmered with their own inner light. I am Ambassador Velton, he said, bowing slightly. I thank you for agreeing to meet with us. President Sujin stepped forward. Welcome to Earth's ambassador. I am President Sujin of the Republic of Korea, currently serving as spokesperson. For the United Nations, we are curious about your intentions. Velton's expression grew serious. Our intentions are simple survival, President Sujin. Our star will die in what you would call 18 months. We have 47 ships that can carry our people to safety, but we are 12 million souls. Without a new home, most of my people will perish. Dr. Minji leaned forward. Why Earth? Surely there are uninhabited worlds you could settle. There are, Velton admitted. But your world has something special. Quantum crystals in your planet's crest. These crystals power our technology. Without them, our ships cannot function. Our cities cannot survive. Our people cannot live as they have for millennia. Over the following weeks, teams of human and Zephyrian scientists worked together to establish communication protocols and cultural understanding. Dr. Hai-Jin, a linguist from Seoul National University, spent hours each day learning the Zephyrian language while teaching Ambassador Velton about human culture. The most surprising discovery came from Dr. Aaron, a behavioral psychologist who had been studying recordings of Zephyrian interactions. "They're remarkably similar to us," she reported to the International Committee. "If families, not just biological units, but emotional bonds between individuals who care for each other. They create art for beauty's sake, not just function. They tell stories to their children, they mourn their dead, they celebrate achievements." She showed video recordings of Zephyrian family groups aboard their ships. The aliens laughed together, embraced each other when sad, played games with their young. Despite their blue skin and strange technology, they looked and acted like any human family. "They're not so different from us," Dr. Aaron continued. "They value the same things we do: love, knowledge, beauty, the future of their children. Our species seem to believe that preserving knowledge and culture is more important than individual survival." Ambassador Veltan confirmed this during one of his daily briefings with human leaders. "Your species fascinates us," he said. "You are young, but you have achieved much in a short time. Your art moves us. Your music speaks to our souls in ways we did not expect. Your literature tells stories that could have been written by Zephyrian poets." President Sujin asked the question that had been on everyone's mind. "What exactly are you proposing, Ambassador?" Velton's eyes brightened. "Partnership unlike anything the galaxy has ever seen. We offer you our technology, faster than light travel. Clean, unlimited energy, medical knowledge that could extend human life by centuries. In return, you share your world with us, and we work together to build a future that neither of our species could achieve alone." The room fell silent as the humans considered the magnitude of what was being offered. President Yuna stood at the podium in the United Nations General Assembly, looking out at the faces of world leaders who would decide humanity's future. Behind her, a massive screen displayed the Zephyrian ships still hovering silently over major cities around the globe. For 3 weeks, the world had held its breath, waiting for this moment. "Ladies and gentlemen," President Yuna began, her voice steady despite the weight of history on her shoulders. "Today we face a choice that will define our species for generations to come." Ambassador Velton stepped forward from the side of the stage. Even after weeks of meetings, his presence still caused murmurs throughout the assembly. His tall, blue-skinned figure moved with grace as he activated a holographic projector with a simple gesture. The air above the assembly floor shimmered, and suddenly the delegates were looking at images of Zephyrian technology, ships that could cross the galaxy in days, cities that floated among the stars, machines that could heal any disease, power generators that could provide unlimited clean energy to entire continents. "Honored leaders of Earth," Velton said, his voice carrying clearly through the vast chamber, "we offer you partnership. Everything you see here, we will share freely with your people. Faster than light travel will make you citizens of the galaxy. Our medical knowledge will eliminate cancer, heart disease, aging itself. Our energy technology will end pollution and power your civilization for millennia." Dr. Biora, sitting in the scientific advisory section, felt her heart racing as she watched the displays. The medical technology alone could save millions of lives. The clean energy could reverse climate change within a decade. The space travel technology could give humanity access to thousands of worlds. "What do you ask in return?" called out Chancellor Wei from the German delegation. Velton's expression grew serious. "We ask for a home. Specifically, we request permission to establish settlements in the Antarctic regions of your planet, the Australian outback, parts of the Sahara Desert, and the northern Canadian territories. These are areas where our people can live without displacing your populations." He paused, then continued. "We also require mining rights in specific locations where quantum crystals exist naturally in your planet's crust. These crystals are essential for our technology to function. Without them, everything we offer you would be useless." The chamber erupted in whispered conversations. President Yuna called for order as delegates frantically consulted with their advisors. General Taman, representing the Global Defense Council, stood up. Ambassador Velton? How do we know this isn't a clever form of invasion? You give us your technology, we become dependent on it, and then you control us through that dependence. Velton nodded respectfully. A fair concern, General, but consider. This, if we wanted to conquer your world, would we need to ask permission? Our technology is centuries ahead of yours. We could have taken your planet by force if that was our intention. Dr. Soyoung, the xenobiologist who had spent the most time studying Zephyrian culture, stood to address the assembly. I've worked closely with Ambassador Velton and his people for weeks. Their social structure, their values, their entire way of thinking suggests they're incapable of the kind of deception General Taman fears. They're a species that survived and thrived for millennia through cooperation, not conquest. But what happens to human sovereignty? Demanded Prime Minister Chen from the Asian Pacific Union. If they have technology that's centuries ahead of ours, how can we remain equals in this partnership? President Yuna had wrestled with this question herself. Ambassador Velton, can you address these concerns about the balance of power? The Zephyrian leader was quiet for a moment, then spoke carefully. Your species has something ours does not. What you call creativity, innovation, the ability to find new solutions to old problems. In our long lives, we have become ... careful, methodical. You are young, bold, willing to take risks. Our preliminary studies suggest that humans might advance our shared technology in ways we never imagined. He gestured to the holographic displays, which now showed collaborative research stations. We do not seek to rule or be ruled. We seek partnership. Your scientists working with ours, your engineers building alongside ours, your artists inspiring ours. The debate that followed was intense. Some delegates saw the offer as humanity's greatest opportunity, a chance to join a galactic civilization, to solve all their environmental and energy problems, to explore the stars. Others worried about losing their independence, about becoming junior partners in their own world. Secretary Hassan from the African Federation raised a crucial point. What about the environmental impact of your settlements and mining operations? Our technology produces no pollution, Velton replied. Our settlements will actually improve the environments where we build them. It's a quantum crystal mining uses. Molecular extraction, we can harvest what we need without disturbing the surrounding ecosystem. Dr. Soyoung stepped forward again. I've seen their environmental technology. It's incredible. They could help us restore damaged ecosystems while they mined. The Antarctic regions could become green and livable. The deserts could bloom. General Taman remained skeptical. And if this partnership goes wrong, if conflicts arise between our species, or then we face those challenges together, Velton answered, as all partners must. But consider the alternative. My people face extinction, and yours faces the same problems you have always faced. But now alone in a galaxy full of other civilizations you know nothing about? The vote was scheduled for the following day, but already the delegates were dividing into clear camps. Some saw salvation in the stars. Others saw the end of human independence. The future of both species hung in the balance. The vote had been close, 53% in favor of the partnership, but it was enough. 6 months later, Dr. Yunji stood on a hill overlooking what had once been empty desert in Nevada, watching the most incredible construction project in human history unfold before her eyes. The hybrid city of New Haven rose from the sand like something from a dream. Zephyrian quantum manipulators worked alongside human construction crews, their blue-skinned forms moving gracefully as they guided massive building materials through the air with just their thoughts. The buildings themselves were unlike anything on Earth, crystalline structures that seemed to grow from the ground, or walls shifting between transparent and opaque as needed. It's beautiful, whispered Jinwoo, the young human engineer standing beside her. I never imagined architecture could be alive. Dr. Yunji nodded, still amazed after months of watching the construction. The Zephyrians didn't just build buildings. They grew them, using their quantum technology to arrange matter at the atomic level. The structures could change their shape, repair themselves, and even move if necessary. Below them, human children ran alongside young Zephyrians in the cities. First, integrated playground. The alien children were taller and more slender than their human friends, with the same pale blue skin as their parents, but they laughed and played the same games. Language barriers had disappeared quickly. Both species' children seemed to have an amazing ability to communicate through gestures and expressions. The atmospheric processors are showing incredible results, reported Dr. Minsu, joining them on the hill. He held up a tablet displaying environmental data. The Zephyrian technology has cleaned up the air pollution over the entire western coast in just 3 months. The ocean filtration systems they installed are removing plastic waste faster than we ever thought possible. Dr. Yunji smiled. The environmental improvements had been the fastest way to win over skeptical humans. When people saw their skies becoming clearer and their rivers running cleaner, opposition to the partnership had dropped dramatically. In the city below, she could see one of the joint research facilities where human and Zephyrian scientists worked together. Dr. Haiwan, a molecular biologist from Seoul, had partnered with a Zephyrian researcher named Kathara to develop new medical treatments. Their first success had been a cure for diabetes that worked by helping the human body repair its own insulin-producing cells. The learning centers are exceeding all expectations too, added Ginwoo. The children are picking up both languages incredibly fast. Dr. Yunji had visited one of the experimental schools the week before. She watched 8-year-old Subin, a Korean girl from Busan, is teaching a young Zephyrian named Morelin how to play hopscotch. In return, Morelin showed Subin how to make small objects float using basic quantum manipulation, a skill that should have taken years to learn. It seemed natural to the human children. The adult integration was proceeding more slowly, but just as successfully. Captain Dongwu had returned from the first joint space mission to Mars just 2 days ago, full of stories about how well the mixed crew had worked together. The Zephyrians are incredibly precise, he had reported to the Space Council. They can calculate orbital mechanics in their heads that would take our computers hours to figure out. But they kept asking us for creative solutions when unexpected problems came up. When one of the quantum drives malfunctioned, it was engineer Ji-hoon, who figured out how to reroute power through the backup systems. The Zephyrian crew was amazed. They said they would have spent days running calculations. But Ji-hoon just looked at the problem and saw the solution immediately. Dr. Yunji walked down into the city, marveling at how natural the integration looked. Human and Zephyrian families shopped together in the market areas, where vendors sold both traditional Earth foods and new hybrid crops that the Zephyrians had developed. The new plants grew faster and were more nutritious than anything humans had ever cultivated. At the central plaza, she stopped to watch a cultural exchange performance. A human violinist played alongside a Zephyrian musician who created harmony by manipulating sound waves directly through quantum resonance. The music was hauntingly beautiful, unlike anything either species could have created alone. The most remarkable changes were happening in the children, though. 7-year-old Taeyong had become best friends with a Zephyrian child named Velton. Despite their different appearances, they thought so much alike that their teachers often couldn't tell who had come up with which ideas during group projects. They're not learning to tolerate each other, observed Ms. Young-hee, one of the human teachers. They're becoming something new together. The human children are developing patience and precision from their Zephyrian friends, while the Zephyrian children are learning spontaneity and creative thinking from the humans. Dr. Yunji visited the quantum crystal mining operation outside the city. The Zephyrian extraction technology was so precise that it left the surrounding desert completely undisturbed. In fact, the mining areas were greener than they had been before the Zephyrians' process somehow enriched the soil, allowing desert flowers to bloom where nothing had grown for centuries as the sun set over New Haven. Dr. Yunji realized that something unprecedented was happening. Two species from different worlds were not just coexisting, they were becoming stronger together. The Zephyrians brought wisdom and advanced technology, while humans contributed energy and innovation.
Neither
Species was losing their identity, but both were becoming more than they had ever been alone. The transformation was no longer just about saving the Zephyrians from extinction or giving humans access to advanced technology. It was about creating something entirely new, a hybrid civilization that combined the best of both worlds. 5 years had passed since the first Zephyrian ships appeared in Earth's skies. Captain Sungmin could barely recognize the world. He had grown up as he stood on the bridge of the ESS Unity, the first starship designed and built jointly by both species. He looked out at the massive space station orbiting Earth where thousands of humans and Zephyrians worked side by side. "Captain, we're receiving an urgent transmission from the Galactic Council," reported Lieutenant Dayun, her voice tense with concern. Sungdash Min turned to face the communication screen as it flickered to life. The image showed Ambassador Velton, who now served as Earth's representative to the galactic community. Behind him, the council chambers buzzed with activity as dozens of alien species argued in various languages. Captain Sungmin Velton said, his normally calm demeanor showing signs of stress, "The hegemony has issued an ultimatum. They demand that Earth surrender the Zephyrian refugees within 10 solar cycles, or they will take them by force." Felt his heart sink. The hegemony was a military alliance of 12 aggressive species that controlled nearly a quarter of the galaxy. They viewed the human-Zephyrian partnership as a threat to their philosophy of species purity and conquest. "What's their stated reason?" asked Dr. Hei-Wan, the ship's chief science officer who had been born on Zephyria but raised on Earth. "They claim that species integration is unnatural and dangerous," Velton replied. "They say we're corrupting both human and Zephyrian cultures by mixing them together. But their real concern is that our partnership is giving other species ideas about peaceful cooperation." On Earth below, the news of the hegemony's ultimatum spread quickly through the hybrid cities. In New Seoul, a massive metropolis that had grown from the merger of a Korean city and a Zephyrian settlement, people gathered in the central plaza to watch the emergency broadcasts. 12-year-old Minjun stood with his best friend, Kethalar, a young Zephyrian whose skin shimmered with anxiety. They had grown up together, learned together, and couldn't imagine a world where their species were separated. "They can't really make us split up, can they?" Minjun asked his parents, who were both researchers in the Joint Technology Program. His mother, Dr. Sujian, knelt down to his level. "We won't let that happen, Minjun. We're one people now, and we'll face this together." In the Global Defense Center, General Taeyong met with Zephyrian War Commander Mortis to coordinate their response. The general, who had once opposed the integration, now worked seamlessly with his alien counterpart. "Our combined fleet consists of 60 ships," General Taeyong reported, 30 Earth vessels upgraded with Zephyrian technology, and 30 Zephyrian ships modified with human tactical systems. "The hegemony approaches with over 200 warships," Mortis replied, his tone grave. "But our hybrid technology gives us advantages they don't expect." Captain Sungmin received orders to lead the first defensive formation. As the Unity prepared for battle, he looked around at his crew, humans and Zephyrians working together. With perfect coordination, Communications Officer Dae-yoon worked alongside Zephyrian Navigator Velmer. Their different perspectives combining to create tactical solutions neither could have developed alone. "All ships, this is Captain Sungmin," he broadcast to the fleet. "We don't fight today as humans or Zephyrians. We fight as Earth's children, defending our shared home." The battle that followed would be remembered throughout galactic history. The hegemony's overwhelming numbers meant nothing against the innovative hybrid technology. Human creativity had found ways to make Zephyrian quantum weapons more unpredictable and harder to defend against. Zephyrian precision had perfected human shield technology until it was nearly impenetrable, but the real advantage was in the crews themselves. Human intuition combined with Zephyrian logic created tactical decisions that confused and frustrated the hegemony forces. When hegemony ships tried to separate the human and Zephyrian vessels, they found it impossible. The integrated crews communicated so seamlessly that they functioned as single units. Engineer G1, working alongside Zephyrian technician Kethfer, developed a new type of quantum pulse that could disable enemy weapons without destroying the ships. "We don't want to become conquerors like them," G1 explained to her alien partner. "We want to show them there's another way." The tide of battle turned when the hegemony's command ship found itself surrounded by a formation of Earth vessels that moved like a single organism. The human Zephyrian crews had developed a form of tactical telepathy, sharing thoughts and intentions through quantum-enhanced communication systems. "Hegemony Command, this is Captain Sungmin of the Earth Defense Fleet," he transmitted to the enemy flagship. We offer you the chance to withdraw peacefully. We have no desire to destroy you, but we will defend our home." The hegemony commander, shocked by the defeat of his superior force, agreed to retreat. But the implications of Earth's victory spread quickly throughout the galaxy. Dozens of species sent delegations to study the human-Sephorian partnership, wanting to learn how two different civilizations could become stronger together. Ambassador Velton stood before the Galactic Council 5 months later, addressing representatives from over 100 worlds. "Both our species faced extinction," he said, his voice carrying to every corner of the vast chamber. "Humans faced environmental collapse and resource depletion. Zephyrians faced the death of our sun. We thought survival meant finding ways to defeat our problems through force or technology alone." He paused, looking at the diverse faces of alien representatives. "Instead, we learned that our salvation lay in unity. Not conquest, not dominance, but partnership. Today, Earth stands as proof that different species can not only coexist, but can become something greater together than either could achieve alone." The transformation was complete. Earth had become the galaxy's first truly integrated multi-species world, and its example would inspire peaceful cooperation across the stars for generations to come.